sort of trying to get to the corners and the edges of our muscles and our tendons and our sinews. And as I'm talking to you, we're going to start with this slightly weird thing that I'm doing with my hands. And I'm just trying to sort of stretch fingers and thumbs apart and wiggling around to the point where it makes your palm feel all sort of warm. And like you're really, you're getting all the juices, all the lubricating juices to your hands, and it might make your wrist and your palms ache a little bit, and that's absolutely fine. So keep doing that if you can, and I'm just going to place my feet just sort of shoulder width apart, facing forwards, and as I'm doing that slightly odd movement with my hands, I'm going to take some nice big double shoulder rolls. So standing up nice and tall, but not being too picky about exactly how we're standing for this warm-up. And then maybe taking some single shoulder rolls, going backwards. So as I said when I taught this class on Monday, you have the luxury of being in your own home right now with no one watching you. I can't see what you're up to at all, so just feel free to go for it a little bit. Try and just take a slightly weird movement that you maybe haven't done before, and just enjoy that freedom. So we're taking singles, doubles and singles, shoulder rolls, and just keep those hands, and maybe you might want to bend your elbows and stretch them out and push them forward a little bit, just whatever goes really. The next movement we're going to do is like taking a jumper off. So I'm going to cross my elbows together, bring them together up at the front, go all the way up, just about clearing my hair, and then pin my elbows back and my shoulders back as I bring the arms down. And then all the way up to the top. It's almost like feels like a big yawn. A big yawn for the front of the chest. And I've just realised that every time I'm coming up, I'm putting the same arm underneath, so I've just swapped sides. Always trying to be careful of those habits that we have, where we get stuck in using the same arm all the time, basically moving in the same patterns all the time, and it's almost like you get stuck in this little groove, and then the moment that you try to come out of that groove, it feels really uncomfortable. We're trying to push apart, push the boundaries away a bit today. Great, so let's just do a couple more of those, and then changing arms each time. Actually, really interesting that I keep putting the same arm on top, even though I'm talking about not doing it. Let's just do one at a time. All the way back, my shoulder opens up a little bit, so I'm trying to get that elbow as close to my head as possible, and then coming up and over the other way, so that you get this quite nice stretch in your upper back as you bring the arm up and over. And I'm sort of taking the elbow, taking my hand to the back of my neck, and then I'm bringing the elbow up and over to the corner. It's ruining my hair, which I just put up seconds before class, but feels quite nice in my back. I'm just going to take that down for the moment. Okay, great. Then, looking at sort of the rotation in your shoulder joint. And I'm spreading the fingers apart, and I'm sort of taking like an infinity sign, a sort of figure of 8. So when I do this up here, I call this the butterfly sweeps. But we're going to keep the hands quite low, hands low down by your hips. But as I'm bringing the hands forwards and crossing them over in front, I'm allowing the shoulders to round, and then I'm pinning the shoulders back a little bit as I'm taking the arms back. But I'm trying to get as much rotation as possible in that whole arm. So I'm bringing my little fingers together there, and then as I'm taking the arms back, I'm opening out thumbs-wise. So shifting that rib cage forwards and backwards. It's all the same stuff. We do it all the time. I'm not reinventing the wheel. I'm just trying to find a different way of allowing your body to get the flexibility and just to get everything moving. As I say, pushing those boundaries out a little bit. Great, okay, so we're going to think about bringing the arms up the side seam of your torso. So elbows are out to the side, hands are just coming up that inside seam, to your hands to your face, just nice and relaxed. The goal here is not to have your shoulders up around your ears, it's to have your shoulders drawn down and try and get your elbows nice and high. And then I'm going to take my hands up past my face and up to the ceiling. I'm clasping, I'm just going to bend down a little bit because I don't think I'm in the screen. Clasping one hand with the other and pushing my hands up to the ceiling. There, and so I'm getting a really nice lift in the spine, and then I'm going to let those arms relax, let the head roll down, and we're going to take a roll down, but a relaxed roll down. So as soon as I'm letting my shoulders and my arms join in, I'm bending my knees, rounding the back, all the way down to the floor. Just hang, nod the head, shake the head, and then roll back up pretty much straight away. We're going to keep doing quite a few of those and building onto it as we go. I'm just going to go back a little bit. So let's do the same again. So once you've rolled up and you're upright, we're lifting those elbows out to the side, hands up your side seam, all the way up to the top. Push up. You can either hang on to one hand or just try and push the heels of your palms into the ceiling, and then let the arms relax, let the head come up and over. Bend your knees straight away. Keep that spine moving like a conveyor belt. Let's stay down this time. Straighten the legs as you breathe out. Soften the knees, breathe in. Breathe out, straighten the legs. Breathe in, soften the knees. One more. Relaxing, no tension. We're only just getting going. Rolling up through the spine. Here we go again. This time we're going to add on, so reaching up. We're going to add on a little short downward dog, as I call it. So let those arms hang. Mobilise through the spine, soft knees, round the back. So you're here, your arms are hanging, your hands are touching the floor hopefully. You're just going to take a couple of walks forwards with your hands. Bring your shoulders over your hands, over your fingertips. My hips are staying high, my heels have lifted, my legs are bent, and then I'm walking the hands back and rolling up. Let's do a couple more of those. I'll stay sideways so that you can keep an eye on me. And we're lifting up, sorry, we're here, elbows out to the side. Get those elbows nice and high. In fact, I will come forwards so that you can see, and then we're pushing up. You can lift everything up here, ears up round shoulders up round your ears, that's the one, and then let everything drop. Feel that lovely length in the spine. Bend the knees, round the back, unravel your spine down to the floor. Keep moving, keep flowing. Let's do 3 times. Pitch your weight forwards over your fingertips. Walk the hands back. And again, walk forwards. Shoulders over those fingertips. So we're stressing the shoulders, stressing the wrists. Fingers and thumbs are spread far apart, and then rolling back up. Next one, we're going to bend one leg at a time. Elbows out to the side. Really should have kept my hair left up, I think. And we're reaching up, pushing up to the ceiling, and then letting it go. Bend those knees, round the back, hang from your waist. Make sure there's no tension in the neck, the head by shaking, nodding it, and then just straighten one leg and bend, let the other one bend, and then swap sides. Bending one, straightening the other. Although you're not really thinking about bending one, you're just thinking of straightening one, I guess. And your hips will rock from side to side. They'll take a seesaw hips. An equal amount both sides, and then bend both knees and roll up through the spine. We're going to do that movement one last time for the last set. When we take the bending one leg at a time, we're going to reach up and take a rotation, but we're staying down. So here we go. If you're not sure, have a little watch, but if you can, join in with me. So elbows nice and high, reaching up last time, lifting up to the ceiling, let those arms hang. Feel like that head is going up and over, all the way down. Hang from your waist. So straighten one leg, and then that same side, just put your other hand in the middle, in between both feet. Lift the same side as the straight leg. Lift the elbow up to the ceiling. Look past the elbow up to the ceiling and then just extend the arm. Should feel quite nice. And then swap over, bring that hand back in the middle, straighten the other leg. So your pelvis is tilted, which makes it quite comfortable for you to be able to open up those shoulders, reaching up towards the ceiling. And bend both knees as you swap hands over and straighten and reach. And now just move and flow and breathe. So it doesn't matter if you haven't got this hand on the floor. In fact, this can be done with your hand not actually touching the floor at all. It's absolutely fine. Just for trying to get that rotation, make sure you do an equal amount both sides and then relax in the middle and roll up through the spine. That was the last one. Good job. We are going to take some wide reaches up. Let's take the toes out a little bit, feet wider than they just were. So reaching up, same as we just did. This is traditional one. Maybe this time push the heels of your palms up rather than taking your fingertips up. But keep the arms apart this time. So we're just trying to stretch the side of the back, the sides of the torso. Equal amount both sides, and then let those arms drop down again. We've got that lovely length in the spine, and we're just going to reach from side to side. Gently. And breathing. Wonderful. Let's take the arms out to the side and just tip. So keep the arms where they were. Create the curve in your body. Keep the nice straight line with the arms just to heighten your awareness. Let's add the arms sweeping round. Breath out as you get to the end of your movement each time. So the weight at the moment is in between both legs, equal on both legs. You're not pushing your hips out at all, it's just all in the upper body. And then we're going to add on, if you want to, go over to one side, bend your knees, roll down, swap the arms over. As you come up, really twist round so that you're looking underneath that arm, come up to the top. Swap to the other side. Side bend there, relax, and a side bend here as you come up. Let's try 4 more of those. So over to the side. Make sure the knees are going over the toes. Get a side stretch, both directions, really important. I said 4 more, I lied, let's have another 2. You know what it's like on a Thursday. If it feels good, we do a few more. And actually, even if it doesn't feel good, we do a few more because it's a Thursday. We've got the weekend coming up. Great job. Okay, that was our spine nice and warmed up. And hopefully you're feeling nice and mobile there. Great. We're going to take, this whole next section is all quite big body movements. We'll get your heart rate up a little bit. It's all about, we're going to start by just stepping to the side and bringing the other leg into a knee fold. Quite a big step to the side if you can. So as I'm doing this, I'm going to be a little bit flash, hopefully, and lift, put my hair up at the same time. So I'm thinking, what I want you to think about is hips and shoulders square to your front. There's no change, no deviation from that nice tissue box, all square to the front. And I'm taking quite a big step to the side because the challenge is I want to get there and immediately adapt so that I could stay there if I needed to. So pushing, and I'm almost going the length of my yoga mat. So if your space doesn't allow you to go from side to side, with the camera being there, or your screen being there, go sideways on, that's absolutely fine. But try and get the difference from the side to side. Okay, so we're adding on, you're lifting one leg, from here you're going to pitch forwards into a nice hip hinge and swing that leg back. And then come up, swap sides. I'm coming forwards a little bit just so I don't hit the wall behind me. Pitch forwards, hinge at your hips to the side. We're square, we're still square. Whoa, we just haven't got much balance. And then we're lifting that knee again when we've done the hip hinge. So this is a really functional movement. It doesn't seem like it right now. It just seems a little bit odd, but it is functional. This is a functional reach. Opposite arm to leg. Your spine is not collapsing. You're hinging at your hips. You're nice and strong in those legs. You're working on the balance. Let's go one more each side. And hopefully you're getting nice and warm with that. Brush the wall nicely then. Okay, so the next movement is going to be about rotation of the upper body. So just have your feet nice and wide, and we're going to take our front crawl swimming. So again, it's a big whole body movement. We've got the arms and the legs going sort of in different directions. The focus here will be, let's go backwards now, when we get the legs joining into this movement. The focus will be trying to get as much rotation as we are now in our shoulders. So we're warming up that rotation of the spine. But we're going to do something quite different with the legs. We're going to take some cycling of the legs. So we're swimming with the upper body, cycling with the legs. It is all going on. I'm going to go this way first, I think. We're going to stay on one leg. So I'm going to start on my weaker leg. The leg is going to be taking a great big circle stroke cycle, and the opposite arm is coming to the knee as the other one goes up and back and over. We're there. So this position is what we're aiming for, but we're also looking for your shoulders to be completely opened up. Same thing when I'm at the back. I'm opening up that back arm, that back shoulder. It's quite tough on that, well, it is tough, really tough on that standing leg. So this is relatively easy, she says. We're going to try and reverse the movement. So arms are going to go back the other way. There we go. So now we're taking that back stroke. It's interesting I'm staying much more upright in this direction. Don't know why. So I've still got that opposite knee, hand up to the opposite knee as that comes forwards. That's my sort of, oh, I think I've gone the wrong way. Enough of that. Let's go to the other side. So on the other leg. So the fairly natural way, maybe get the leg going first. I say natural. Not quite sure, but it's functional. We're there. Shoulders opening up. Breathing starting to get a little bit heavier now. So big body movements. Working on the coordination, the flow, the strength and stamina in that standing leg. Trying to really get those shoulders opened up. Oh, I've just had a thought of making this much slower next time we do it. Watch out for that one. Okay, I'm going to reverse. I'm going to get my leg going reverse first. So it goes to the back, up and over, and then, oh yes, there we go. I think. Yeah. So arms are going backwards, opposite hand to knee. I'm trying to rotate those shoulders as much as possible. Hips and ankles can't join in now because you're focusing too much on that movement of the legs. Couple more if you can. Oh, I've lost it. Okay, that was only the second one. We've got two more things to do along this same vein. So I'm going to face this way. We're going to take some wide, deep squats. The idea is to try and get your hips down nice and low. So send your bottom back, toes are slightly turned out. Therefore your knees are slightly turned out, therefore you've got more space to go with these hips. You're aiming to drop your bottom down. Good. Knees over the toes. So if any of this is just too much for you at the moment, maybe your level of fitness isn't quite what you would like it to be, just do a few with good technique and then stop, and then try again another time. Worst thing you can do is be really tired and do loads of this stuff with bad technique. So if knees, hips, back, shoulders, something's niggling, something's aching, or just feeling painful, not so much aching, but then just stop, revisit it another time. Okay, so ideally you can get all the way down here, and then I'd like you to have your hands on the floor, just in front of your feet. Take your shoulders over your hands a little bit so that you can stretch one leg back. And I've taken a straight leg, but it doesn't actually need to be a straight leg at all. It can just be a bent leg. I'd rather you had a bent leg. I'm thinking about trying to keep my chest on my thigh. In fact, I can go over this way a little more. So chest on my thigh, I'm staying down. And now I've naturally taken the opposite hand away. Feels really normal. So we're there. I'm just going to take that hand to the hip or into your back. And now I feel like I can stretch that leg out a little bit more, but you don't have to. Staying down nice and low. In fact, I'd rather the leg was a bit more bent so that you're doing more of a lunge and that chest is a bit higher. Okay, that was number 3. Here we go for the grand finale. I'm going to stay facing this way just because the space I'm in, it works that way. So we're going to combine the first and the last exercise. So we're stepping to the side, lifting that knee, opposite hand is going to the knee. You're stretching back, taking that hand down to that foot, the floor, chest over the thigh, lift and swap sides. Lift and back and lift. Take your time. So you could be here. You could really take your time here. You could put that back knee down a little bit if you wanted to. Take your time. The idea is to come up onto that front leg, lift the knee, then swap sides. Lift and back and lift and swap. Lift and back, lift and swap. Now, maybe try and keep that chest up. Can you send that back leg far back, drop down into that hip, keep the knees over the toes. Let's have 4 more. 3, 2, and 1, and there. Good job. Hopefully you were with me all the way, but like I say, don't worry if you weren't. Brilliant. Let's take a little bit of the other extreme by going to keeping the body quite static. So we're going to bring our feet together, standing on one leg. This time we're going to keep the torso absolutely still. We're going to extend one leg and have the leg off the floor, really nice and parallel with the pointed foot. Maybe pop your hands on your hips. Flex that foot. Turn the leg out in the hip socket so you can see that that foot's like a little lever, like a little, like a lever. And I'm opening the leg out by rotating in the hip socket. My hips have stayed absolutely still, back to parallel, and then join. So joining in with me, or hang on a moment, but we're going to do 4 of these all together. So the other leg, one leg is out, foot flexed. If you've got a wonderful contrasting top on, like I have, I can see that my shoulders and my hips absolutely level. There's been no change. I'm flexing that foot, turning the leg out. Again, no change. Back to parallel and back in. So 2, let's do another 2 to the front. Swapping sides. So when you extend that leg, don't change in the waist. Flex the foot. turn it out, back to parallel, and there. So put your hands on your body somewhere, flexing the foot, turning out, parallel, and back to the feet together. So sometimes I quite like to spread my hands and just keep my hands on my torso. It reminds me to keep the rib cage drawn down, connected to the hips. Same thing at the side. So we're in parallel. Don't lift that leg up too high, keep that foot pointed. Flex the foot, still in parallel, so everything's facing forwards. Now I'm turning it out. Ooh, that hip really wants to join in. Back to parallel and feet together. Out to the side, flex the foot, turn it out, bring it back to parallel and close. One more each side. Flex, turn out. Keeping my hands on my hips, cup your hips, check it out. What's going on? Is there any change? Hopefully none whatsoever. But this is quite frustrating because you would like to do more movement. It's difficult to do. I'm just going to step forwards because we're going to the back now. So, to the back with a pointed foot. There will be a very slight pitch forwards. Flex the foot. Turn the leg out. Oh, that hip really wants to join in here, for me anyway. So I'm turning that leg out, trying to push that heel forwards, back to parallel, and join, and the other leg. Pointed foot, flexed foot. Turn it out, back to parallel, point, and flex. One more time each side. Point, flex, turn out. Don't let that hip go. Parallel and join. Last one. Point, flex, turned out, parallel, and come back. Good. Last couple of exercises here. Along the same vein, you're going to take the leg forwards and you're going to flex the foot. You're going to turn out, turn parallel, turn out, parallel, turn out, parallel, and draw a semicircle round to the back. Close that leg behind, swap the legs over, do the other leg. And then we're going to take the first leg from the back all the way around, and then the other one all the way around, and then we're done with this exercise. So again, really difficult. We're not only turning the leg out in a static position, we're trying to move it round in the hip socket as we're doing the same thing. So, in fact, yeah, that's fine. I was going to say, I'm conscious that I'm starting on my stronger leg, but that's fine. So I'm going to take that leg forwards, flexing the foot. It's about 4 times. If I come back, I think I'm going to hit the wall. Come back a bit there. So we're there, flexing the foot. So turn out, parallel, turn out, parallel, turn out, parallel. Maybe one more, turn out, parallel. My leg is at the side. Roughly 4 times to get to the new position. This is difficult. You've got to really lift out of your hips as well. Bring that leg in, swap sides. So we're pointing the foot to start with, and then it stays flexed. Keeping my ribs connected to my hips. Turn out, parallel, turn out, parallel. That hip so wants to join in. Try not to let it happen. That last back part of the semicircle, really tough. Doing my hand, not my, I'm doing this with my hands as well. Okay, back to the first leg from the back, so pointing the foot, flexing. So I'm pitched forwards a little bit, turning out, parallel, out, and parallel, out, and out. Now when the leg is at the side, you should be completely upright again. This one is always a little bit easier, coming forwards. Check that your top isn't changing, your hips aren't lifted. We want that great big lift out of the hips with the ribs. Turn out, parallel, ooh. And holding it in parallel with the leg to the side, pausing there even, turning out, and all the way back round to the front and coming back there. Great, okay, well done. Thinking of turning out and parallel. Let's bring our feet parallel but hip width apart. Lift the heels a few times. Join your legs together in turn out. Join your heels together in turn out, or the lower part of your leg. Release and come back to parallel. So this position will be slightly different for everyone. Find where you're naturally can get both heels together, naturally turning out without any little tweaks and adjusting one leg and then the other. And then I'm going to hold that there. So I can feel that my turnout muscles have switched on. Is it me or is it hot? It's quite hot today. And then we're going to take a spine twist. So rotation around the spine of the upper body, of the thoracic spine, just the rib cage spine. So maybe let's start here. The legs are fixed, the legs aren't going to go anywhere, which is why I quite like doing this in this position. And we're also working pelvic floor a little bit and those turnout muscles. So keep those legs rotating, keep the heels or the lower legs squeezing together. Thumbs at the back of your ribs and forefinger at the front, and just take a little rotation side to side. Allow your hands to glide around your rib cage wall. And even here, there's not much movement, but I just want you to check it out. So elbows are out to the side. Great. Okay, let's place thumbs and fingertips together. Place those thumbs into your breastplate. Imagine you've got a line attached from your nose to your fingertips. So you can't move your head independently. It's all going to go round at the same time. And just go as far as you can to the corner. And then back to the centre. Keeping those legs absolutely fixed. There's no need for them to change. If anything, I'm actively pushing the hip forwards of the one I'm turning towards. I'm being very conscious that I'm not moving my eyes, my head any further than this lovely straight line. We're going to try and repeat this on the floor in a moment. Let's just finish this off here. Hands on your chest, elbows out to the side, same thing. Noticing it's quite a limited range if you're doing it well, if you're doing it correctly. Try not to cheat, one more each side. And to there, fantastic. Okay, get those shoulders a little bit of actually I think I did this on Monday. I feel that it's not in my lesson plan, but I feel like I would like to just have a little bit of a neck stretch here. So I'm just going to turn my head from side to side. Fingertips lightly touching the legs, making sure those shoulders stay still. If that feels okay, ear towards the shoulder. This is the one where you will want to tip a little bit if you're not careful. And then maybe half a circle down towards the floor and maybe up towards the ceiling. And that for me was enough to just release that tension that I could feel building there a little bit. If any of those positions felt a bit too tight, then just stay there and breathe. Okay, so we're coming down to the floor. I'm going to move monitors and bits and pieces. We're going to be on all fours. These are all floors. Going to be on all fours on the floor when we get down there. We're going to have a look at your the shape of your spine as you're moving forwards and backwards. So from your all fours position, spreading the fingers and the thumbs, make sure those hands are underneath your shoulders, knees are underneath your hips, and we're just going to stretch the hips back. And this is quite a subtle movement. As I'm taking my hips back towards my heels, there's a biting point, a tipping point, where that tailbone will just start to round and tuck under and send down to the floor. I want you to stop before that point. And then when you come forwards, we're stressing the wrists, getting those shoulders, the fronts of your shoulders, this part of your shoulder, forwards past your fingertips. Fingers and thumbs spread far apart. So stretching back. So just exploring this range, really. Keeping the arms fairly straight. Brilliant. And then from there, we are going to take some narrow press-ups. We're going to lift the leg up behind you, but we're going to take some narrow press-ups. So I'm just going to sit back a moment. For your narrow press-ups, I would like you to have your hands quite close together, fingertips facing forwards. When you take the press up, I want you to bring your elbows into your ribs to actually make contact with your ribs. This maybe wasn't the best top to wear today, but it's almost like you're creating a bit of a shelf of your rib cage on the back of your arm, and my elbow is sort of digging into my ribs. So this is the movement. It's not elbows going out to the side. There's no gap between your arms and your torso, because that's what's going to support you, hopefully. So spreading those fingers, but have your hands a little bit closer together maybe compared to normal. Knees are underneath the hips. So we're going to stretch one leg away, and as you're going to slide that leg along the floor and then lift it up here. And I'm going to stretch back, and it's like I'm trying to plug a hole in the wall behind me with my foot. And as you do that, you're going to be very tempted, if I just change the angle I'm at, you're going to be very tempted to lean. So you end up in this sort of rhomboid position. I looked it up on the dictionary. It's a rhomboid. So I was square, and then it all sort of goes like that over to one side. So try not to do that. So extend that leg, going all the way back. I'm actually applying a little bit more pressure here through this hand, and then I'm coming forwards. Oh, I've got cramps, sorry. And then I'm going to tuck my elbows in, take the press up, the leg stays behind. I'm staying in that nice straight line and then lowering and coming in. So hopefully you watched me on that one, but sorry, I didn't ask you to watch me. So let's go with 4 of those. So alternating sides. I'm going to do that same side again. So extend the leg away, lifting the leg, stretching back, push down into this opposite arm a little bit. Really slide your shoulder blades down on your back. Think about the crease at that supporting hip, that hinge at that hip. Pitch forwards and then tuck those elbows in. So you're only going as low with your upper body as you can lift that, you're only going as high with your leg at the back as you're going as low as with the body. You're fixing as one unit. Let's go to the other side. So extend the leg, lift. So nothing has changed here. This is relatively easy. The difficulty comes when you start to stretch back because you've changed your position. Extend that leg. I'm pushing into this same side hand a little bit. This is harder this side for me. Maybe because it's the first one on this side. Coming forwards, that knee tends to clunk, don't worry about that. Tuck that elbow in. You don't need to go all that way down. You could just bend the arms a little bit, that's absolutely fine. I'm going to bring my knees in a little bit. I was a bit aware my knees were a bit further away. One more time each side. Extend the leg, lift up, stretching back, coming forwards. An alternative to this is just narrow press-ups from all 4s without the leg. That's absolutely fine as well. If you don't like the look of the leg business, then try some of those. Stretching back without creating that rhomboid. Definitely harder on this side for me. Hips and shoulders absolutely square. Tuck those elbows in. If your nose is as big as mine, hopefully it's touching the floor. Leg down, leg in, and relax. Good job. Okay, great. Well done. We are sitting up nice and upright. So repeating that spine twist that we did in standing. I always think it's really interesting to repeat stuff that you did standing, just to find the difference in your awareness, really, just heightening your awareness. So whenever we're seated in this position, ideally with the legs out in front, it really highlights whether we're joining in. If we start to twist with the upper body, highlights whether we're joining in with our pelvis and any other part of the lower part of the body. So if you can, in an ideal world, I'd like you with your legs straight and your feet flexed, but you're still sitting right up on those sit bones. If that's not available to you, keep the feet flexed, slightly bend the knees, make sure that you're still sitting right up on your sit bones. And let's take the, so I'm going to straighten my legs. Let's take the hands onto the chest. In fact, no, let's start here and then we'll try the hands on the chest. So thumbs into the breastplate, fingertips together, the nose is attached to those hands, and we're just rotating. Now the reason I want your feet flexed and your feet together, whether you've got bent knees or not, is so that you're very aware of ending up with one leg longer than the other. If you end up with one leg longer than the other, it's because you've joined in with the rotation at your pelvis. Absolutely try not to. So 4, 6 of those maybe, and then try with the hands on the chest. Even harder, be very aware. I'm actually allowing my head to go a little bit more, just because it feels a bit more comfortable. Breathing, breathe out one way, breathe in the other, try both directions. Just try not to hold your breath. This is very grippy in your hip flexors, which is something that we are going to deal with a little bit later. I'm going to finish off one more. Make sure you've done an equal amount both sides. And have a little collapse. Yeah, that's tough. Good. In fact, that's so grippy in your hip flexors that I'm going to do my 4-point bridges and 3-point bridges now, because I quite like this one. So let's take the feet forwards. Legs are bent, you're going to lean back a little bit, lift the chest. At the moment I've got my hands facing outwards, sideways, and we're just going to take a bridge from here. So it's a 4-point bridge, it's a straight bridge. I'm just going to push down through my feet, lift my hips up, so switching on those buttocks and dropping the hips back down again. So the goal of the bridge, to strengthen the back line of the body. It's also quite a nice opening for the hip flexors at the front. So a couple of those. I'd like you to try and just experiment with the position of your hands. So I'm going to try a couple more with the fingertips facing forwards, facing my feet, and just noticing the difference in shoulders. I'm also noticing that my knees want to splay out. I'm quite tight in the front of my hips, so I'm trying to keep my weight even on 3 points of my feet. I'm going to try one more hand position, which is, so we were at the side, we started at the side, then we're going fingertips forwards. I'm going to go fingertips backwards, away from my body, which opens up my shoulders even more, and just try that. If you're a little bit nervous of it, that's tiny bit uncomfortable on my bad shoulder, just keep the hips low, just try a little bit. Don't have to go too crazy with this stuff, just explore. So that, I'm not liking that one. I'm liking fingertips forwards actually, so I'm going to go for that. What you could do for this last one, if you wanted to, was just have a little bit of a move forwards and backwards. Again, this is what I was talking about at the very beginning. Get into the edges, find where those corners are, push the boundaries of your movements. Great, so that's a 4-point bridge. Let's take a 3-point bridge. I really like this one. It just feels good, it feels nice and strong. So I'm going to take one hand behind me, and fingertips have to face away for this one. And again, just have a little look. If it doesn't suit you, maybe just give it a go. You'll find that it doesn't feel as bad as it doesn't, yeah, have a go. It feels really good when you get used to it. So we've just got that hand behind us in the middle, fingertips facing away. You're lifting your hips up, and then you're taking that arm straight up to the ceiling. And that, for me, feels really nice. I just really like I like the strength and the power in this. So I've just started with this elbow into my tummy. I'm going to lift straight up to the ceiling. I've done 3 of those. I'm going to do another 3. This time I'm going to take my arm back to the wall. I'm going to follow my line of that arm and my thumb with my head, so the arm goes back as opposed to up, and again that feels really nice. Pushing down through the feet, trying to get the hips nice and level, switching on those buttocks, opening up the front of the hips, and it just feels great because I'm stretching all the way to the ends, the edges that I have my possibility. This is my not so great shoulder. And again, if you're nervous of it, just try putting the hand behind. Maybe keep the other hand, you know, just do a little bit, tiny bit. Lift off a bit. See how you go. It's one of those things that you don't realise that you can do until you just do it and get on with it. Push down, lift up. And I'm going to add on, going all the way up and over. Breathe. Drive those hips up. Stretching over a little bit more. And coming back down. Good. Okay, great. We are going into some seated C curve with a forward bend. So thinking about the shape of our backs. Sitting up really nice and tall, hands are underneath the backs of the knees. We're creating that C curve. Rocking back past our sit bones. Then I'm going to come forwards until my shoulders are over my hips. Once they're above my hips, I'm going to straighten up my spine, extend my legs out, flex my feet, lift up to the ceiling like I'm being about to be saved by my favourite film star, and then I'm going to pitch all the way forwards, taking hold of that lower leg. I can get my hands past my toes, but that might not be for you. Just hands to the legs wherever you are, just get that nice stretch. And then in order to do the next one, I'm going to pull back with my waistband, scooping that tummy. Come into a little bit of a balance here, just a bit of a tippy toe balance. Everything is nice and rounded. Rock forwards, stay in that rounded shape. Now extend and lift. And all the way, try and lengthen that spine. Head is down. One more of those if you can. Rolling back, I'm getting all stuck to my mouth. Stay here. Little tippy toe balance. Rock forward, stay rounded. As you lengthen that spine, flex the feet, unravel everything, and then reach all the way forwards. Let that spine relax. Wonderful. We are going into rolling like a ball. So create that same shape. Take it as big or not as you would like to. Stay in the shape. Rolling back. So this shape stays the same. This shape stays the same. My arms are rounded. My back is rounded. Head doesn't hit the floor. Whoops. Didn't quite get up then. You could go a little bit tighter with your ball, wrapping your hands together. Oh, no, didn't quite make it. The idea, whoops, and then I've overshot. So the difference in position then meant that I needed to adjust. I think I found my balance now. I need to adjust how much oomph to go back, how much oomph I need to get back up again, and then where that balance point is, where that tipping point is. But actually the spine is staying in the same shape. We're going to stay in this shape. We're going to roll down onto your back and we're going to extend one leg into single leg stretch. You could continue to hang on to this knee if you wanted to for that extra support, or if you want to work a little bit harder today as it is a Thursday, just touching lightly to the knee and lightly to the ankle. Changing legs, hold it here a moment. Think about the shape of your spine. It's exactly in that C curve, nothing has changed. And then we're going to take 2 for a breath in, 2 for a breath out. And in, and out. Try and keep that chin tucked in, keep the head above your shoulders. Another 10, 9, 8. Because I'm counting, I'm doing rubbish breathing. Hopefully you can be doing the correct breathing. 5 more sets, 4 more sets, 3, 2, and we're taking a twist. As we breathe out, we're holding that there, breathing out. We're breathing in as we swap. We're holding it here, breath out. Breath in, breath out. Cramp in the feet, breath in. Hold it here, breath out. Have as much support at the back of your head and neck as you need. Hold it, breath out. Try and get that elbow to that knee. 4 more sets. You know what that means. That was 1. 2 more sets. Last one, here we go. And my abdominals are hurting from last night's class. Yesterday's classes. Okay, well done. Lie down on your back, do what you need to do. Maybe let that head roll from side to side. I really wanted to just let my legs loll from side to side. Good job. Okay, well done. We are lying on our side. Yes, I prefer this this order to the order I did it on Monday actually. This is because we had 3 lots of bridges all together. We're coming onto a side bridge. So the elbow is underneath your shoulder. Hips are stacked. Feet, heels are in line with your spine. If you lift them up and have a look down, you could line yourself up on the back of the mat. Have a little collapse underneath first of all, or just on this underneath side, and then really lift up. And even here, I think I've got that elbow underneath, but it could do with coming in just a tiny bit more, almost inside of the line of your shoulder, so it's really supporting. And we're just going to take arm. Let's keep the arm up to the ceiling, nice straight line through the shoulders, lifting the hips and then lowering but hovering. Lifting, lowering but hovering. Lifting, lowering but hovering. 2 more. Last one, stay up this time. So I've got this wonderful, I've got 2 straight lines. From this elbow across my shoulders up to that top hand, up to the ceiling. And then I've got another one here, perpendicular to that one. From my pubic bone up through the centre of my body, out through my nose, out through the top of my head. So we're there. Extend that top leg, keep the hips stacked. We're lifting and lowering that top leg. I've got an itch of my nose. Not sure how many, I didn't really say how many. Let's do a few more. See if you can start to feel it in that buttock. You're definitely going to feel it in that underneath side of the body. Let's take 2 more. Okay, leave the hips up there. We're threading the needle 3 times. Go all the way through. Breathe out. Breathe in to return to the front. And again, 2 more. Breath out. Breath in. Last one. Breath out. Breath in and ooh, good job. Twiddling round, legs to the other side. So strong work, the big muscles in the side of your back. One side will always be a little bit harder than the other. Get this elbow underneath your shoulder. If this really doesn't suit your shoulders, sorry, I should have given you an alternative on the other side, but you could be 2 straight legs. Lifting and lowering, 2 straight legs, lifting and lowering the top leg. And then threading the needle on all 4s. So lots of different alternatives then. Hopefully you know what I'm talking about. So keep this elbow tucked in. Have a little collapse first. Always worth having the collapse so that you know that you're in that good position. And remember to bring that elbow in a tiny bit more than you think. Arm up to the ceiling. Beautiful straight line. Keep the neck long. Drop the head down a little bit towards the floor. Lift the hips up and just hover them when you lower. Don't collapse, just hover. Think of that top hip going straight up. Lifting out of this shoulder, support the shoulder. Draw in underneath. Last one, hold it there. Straighten that top leg. Lifting and lowering. Good work. Keeping that foot straight, that instep straight. What I mean by that is none of those, no curly feet. No lifting, lowering the hips. Keep the body up. Keep that underneath side tucked in. Oh, 2 more. Last time, last thing here, threading the needle. Roll all the way through. Try and touch your fingertips to the floor. Breath out. Breath in to come back to square. Keep that shoulder lifted. Keep your hips fairly still. You should feel a lovely rotation across your upper back. Relax that head and neck. Last one. And we're there. And we're relaxing. Brilliant. Okay, good job. We are finishing off. The very last thing, the last exercise, and then we're just going to have a bit of a good old wiggle about stretch at the end. Which again, I quite like the order of that today. It was a bit different and it just feels nice to have a good stretch at the end. But we're going to start on our tummies. Have a quick look. So hands are going to be, legs are coming into this position. Legs are turned out, heels are together, feet are flexed. So you're in like a sort of frog position. Hands are going to be fingertips on top of each other and then forehead on top of hands. And let's just go straight into squeezing the heels together, lifting the thighs off of the floor and lowering. Keeping the head relaxed. So I'm really pushing my pubic bone into the mat. Switching on those buttocks, switching on those hamstrings. And again, I could just see in the mirror, actually my feet are going away from my butt. That's because I'm tight in the front of my hips. Ideally, feet should be, legs should be at right angles. That lower leg should be at right angles. Oh, that's harder, yeah. Much harder for me. So we're lifting up, pushing that pubic bone in, nice strong stretching, strengthening for the back line of the legs. I'm going to leave my legs down. You could do the legs as well for this next bit if you wanted to, but let's do the upper body first. So from here, easiest version, just to lift the back of the head and neck, lower, back of head and neck and lower. Next easiest version is to stay up, to lift one arm salute, lift the other arm salute. Let's do 4 of those. Last, hardest version is to lift and lower, head, arms, shoulders, upper back as one unit. That might be too much for you, it's very strong. Grand finale here, let's go for it, it's a Thursday. Flexing those feet, bending the knees, both ends together 4 times if you can. Breath out and in. Or don't just don't hold your breath. Strong work. Make sure you're pushing that pubic bone into the mat. Elbows out to the side. And then, fantastic, come up onto all 4s. You have so deserved a wiggle about with that spine especially. And if you don't feel like doing this now, I just don't know what to say. Really, this should feel like what you absolutely want to do. So I quite often talk about my dogs in my classes. So they're quite, well, you might have seen them, they're medium-sized dogs, but they're quite cat-like. And they're cat-like in the way they stretch. And they just, when they've been lying down on the bed for a little while, they get up out of the bed and they've been all sort of curled up. They've been there for, quite a long time. And they take this wonderful down dog stretch and they lift their hips and they stretch and they go right through to the very ends, to the point where their nails come out and it's right through to the end, and then that's it. And then they're done. But it's because they went right to the very end. So try and apply that. Try and be more dog to your stretching. So, as always, we've got the vertical spine circles, we've got the horizontal spine circles. we've got any sort of variation of any of this stuff. Big toes together, knees really wide, hands are wide, you're swaying from side to side. You could take that threading the needle rotation there, one side and then the other side. What I did on Monday as well, which I really felt like doing because we haven't really done it much, was to come back to my regular stretches. So I've gone along the length of my mat, feet are really wide, toes are out to the corners, legs are turned out to the corners, knees are going over the toes, my weight's through my hands, and it just feels great to just stretch from side to side. I'm going to turn one end, one side, maybe put that knee down, maybe not, stretching, moving around to the other side. Well, what I would suggest is if you're going to do one side and then the other side, try and do roughly the same thing on both sides. So I didn't do that on this side, so I'm going to go back and repeat that. And then for me, I'm going to finish off with some nice bear walks. So I'm coming back again to the length of my mat, opposite hand and foot, really stretching through, so every single step, every single placement means something. And then I'm going to keep my hands in the middle. I'm going to bring my feet to my hands, taking my feet nice and wide, dropping down into my deep squat, which is not easy for me, but I feel like I'm warm enough to be able to manage that today. I've got my heels down, which is an improvement, but equally you might want to lift your heels up a bit. Right, go all the way up. You might want to drop that knee in, sit down on your hip, drop in, roll across there. Have a good old explore. You should be hopefully warm enough by now. And I'm going to finish off just here and have a nice deep breath in. Fantastic. Thank you so much if you joined me. And if not, I hope you will be joining me on the recorded version, and I will see you all soon. Thank you.